Good morning, everyone. I love that psalm because there's probably going to come a time in all of our lives where there's going to be two sides to the story. Us and the person who has made an offense against us. And you're going to want to be believed. Before the news gets there, before reporters get there, it's going to be you and that other person. And you're going to want someone to believe your side of the story. And that's what it's like in Ferguson as well. Before CNN, before Fox, before any news outlet got to Ferguson, it was just the people of Ferguson and the police. When the news came in and reported out, then we had to decide who we were going to believe. And we have to decide every moment, are we going to side with the people? Are we going to take their word that what happened to them, or are we going to side with the state every time? And so the psalm reminded me that I side with the people every time. I'm a public theologian. I attend Pacific School of Religion, and what that means for me is that my job is to locate the sacred texts emerging from the streets, from the community, and from marginalized communities. I have to use in my prophetic life non-traditional sources, the new Q, the 1R as a primary source, and the Deutero-Ferguson. Recently, I participated in a Black Lives Matter Bay Area to Ferguson activism immersion with my school, Pacific School of Religion, the American Baptist School of the West, and Eden Theological Seminary in St. Louis. We spent a week in school here and 8 days in Ferguson, and in the immersion course, we learned about the local and national moments that are catalyzing into this current protest movement against systemic racism and state violence, and how the church and prophetic leadership can become involved. I learned that we are all scared in this moment, but I also learned that potentially this means that this is also our most sacred moment, because this movement is made up of moments of awakening by people just like us. People in Ferguson know that they don't get no more holy than this, no more delivered than this, no more saved than this, no more recovered than this, no more educated than this, and no more accepted than this, and can accept no more of this. Theirs is an at-hand theology. After decades and even centuries of systems and laws that limit their ability to thrive, they are being pushed to do something with only what they have on them. Because the people of Ferguson know it don't get no holier than this. They are saying, with their lives pushed to the farthest walls of creation, this is it. This has always been it. This is as holy as it gets. This means coughing tear gas is as holy as breathing fresh air. The drink and the not drink, holy. The lights cut off and the illumination, both holy. Ferguson knows that you can tell yourself that it gets better, but it ain't no better than this. This moment is what it all boils down to. This has to be the holy condensation, the holy distillation, and the holy concentration. This here, it is holy. Holy at the end of your day, looks back at holy at the beginning of your day, and cries holy, because it hears itself being called into this, the all of this, the that's it of it all, and it accepts itself. I learned in Ferguson, we are all scared in this moment. But potentially that means that this is also our most holy and our most sacred, because this moment is made up of moments of awakening by people just like us. Have you ever felt like you have nothing to lose? Have you ever felt so pushed and pressured that you collapsed into something holy? Did you know that diamonds are formed at high temperature and pressure, and their growth occurs over billions of years? Did you know that diamonds are brought close to the Earth's surface through deep volcanic eruptions? Did you ever think of Ferguson as an eruption of diamonds? Can you imagine now how a people can get so heated and believe that their struggle is so beautiful that they begin to call themselves holy and priceless? Can you see now that we have been taught not to imagine those people as our people? I've learned We are all scared in this moment, but potentially that means that this is also our most sacred moment, because this movement is made up of moments of awakening by people just like us. Our class was an immersion trip, because that's exactly what it felt like. We went deep and biblical really fast. We sunk emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually. We went under with community, clergy, activists, and organizations, and when we came up, it was Moral Monday in St. Louis, and we were being arrested, delivering a list of demands to the Department of Justice. Ferguson was an immersion baptism for me. And when I came up, I knew that the people of Ferguson were never sinners, but decades and centuries of laws and practices built up on their skins was sinful. An immersion like this one washes away the sin. It doesn't say that there is no sin, because that would excuse white supremacy and racism and patriarchy and capitalism. This immersion says that it doesn't have to stick and stink and stay on us. The people of Ferguson know that they are not the sin. The sin is the projection onto them, the buildup and the dead skin that needs to be sloughed. The sin is the world that puts racism, homophobia, transphobia, misogyny, patriarchy, and ableism on you so that you are so weighted down that you cannot access your holy. You will never know that you are divine and that your divinity is what you have in common with humanity when the whole damn system is sinful. An immersion in Ferguson shows you that beneath it all, if we go deep, if we all go under together, the likelihood that we'll all come back up together is greater. West Florissant is a river that flows through Ferguson. It is where people are being baptized into their activist, artist, and academic selves. And how do you know that West Florissant Street is the holiest place on earth? Because that's where the state is employing military-grade weaponry to stop us from gathering in those waters. So I was shocked when several of our activist comrades and teachers told us that during the ongoing Ferguson uprisings, where they were being met with tanks and tear gas, the organizers went door to door and church to church, asking the churches if they could use their sanctuaries as safe houses to get out of the spray of tear gas and rubber and wooden bullets, and real bullets, and to wash their eyes out and be shielded. And many of the churches in Ferguson said no. The church in Ferguson had ostensibly told the protesters and liberation fighters by how it had washed its hands of the struggle that it is disengaged. And here's the thing, the Black Lives Matter thing. I think that church, that's church with a big C, refuses to join the protest to say Black Lives Matter, because the definition of Black Lives Matter means if we take to the street, we have to admit that what is happening in Ferguson is also that is happening in our backyard. We will not be able to say we don't have any black women here. We can't say we don't have any black gay people here. We can't say we have no black men here. We can't say we have no black trans folks here. We can't say we don't have any black incarcerated folks here. We can't say we have no black immigrants here. Is this what we're really trying to say? The church's refusal to open its doors to protesters, along with its refusal to let Christ out into the streets, has made the church nearly irrelevant to protesters. The street is demanding that the church recognizes that the cure for its historical and hysterical blindness is in its saying Black Lives Matter here. The street is bringing the church back into heretical sight. I've learned that we are all scared in this moment, but potentially that means that this is our most sacred moment, because this movement is made up of moments of awakening by people just like us. There's a new chant, a new song, a new tradition, and a new ritual being birthed in the streets. The movement is teaching the church the words to its own divinity. It is sonic, it is loud, it is chanted, it is sung, it is yelled, it is cried, it is lamented, it curses, it knows Martin Luther King Jr. is not coming back, it's over it. The movement is saying it won't look like the civil rights movement. It's angry, it's profane, and if you're more concerned about young people using profanity than about the profane conditions in which they live, then there's something wrong. The streets are letting the church know that the streets are letting the church know what God is and who God is in the struggle. And the people no longer have to prove itself to the gospel. I believe the gospel has to now prove itself to the people. This movement is made up of moments of awakening by people just like us. And when we get that, then we can understand that in spite of what this world tries to tell you, that the God that resides in us stands by God's work, trusts and believes our accounting, has a prophetic forensics, knows the fine-tooth combed hairs on our head, backs up our story, is our alibi, takes the stand on our behalf, has always looked like all of us, and has been with us always. And when we get the awakening to the God on our side is the God on all people's side, and is calling us to pray with our feet, then you should feel encouraged and emboldened, beloved, to trust and unleash your gifts into this world, because you are a gift to this world. And you should use your gift in community. And know that no gift is lost, and we cannot lose when we are all participating and benefiting in a sharing and prophetic economy. Move from scared to sacred, and believe that the people who say that Christ's name could be a murdered black trans woman named Poppy Edwards or a black boy from Ferguson named Mike Brown can be killed by the state. We have to believe them. Because going from scared to sacred means we believe we must end more wars than we start, and believing that we must fight to eradicate patriarchy and racism and misogyny, and understanding that we must advocate for the well-being of the earth with the energy of an overprotective parent, and that it rewards us with more natural splendor than disasters when we do. Because going from scared to sacred means that we insist that the prison industrial complex is not healthcare. The justice, food, housing, jobs, education, and opportunities to good health and is God's healthcare system. I've learned from my time here at Refuge, at Glide, in this prophetic community of First Congregational Church in Berkeley and in Ferguson, that this movement is made up of moments of awakening by people just like us. We are a people moving from scared to sacred. Our ability to change the course of history to being a people from here to Ferguson to Palestine, insisting that our gifts, our lives, our comfort, our discomfort, our privilege be used for the most sacred act ever. And that's love. And it will be used for that or not at all. Amen.